Good morning. Hand today is going to be Pocket Kings. Now, Pocket Kings are typically an easier hand to play. I didn't look at the results of this hand yet, but I am going to play Pocket Pair because Kings is a Pocket Pair and we're in the big blind, so let's get to it. Early position player limps, and I raise the 6. Early position players playing 190 plus big blind stack. Right now, he is his second hand at the table, basically, and we don't know much. That's it. So I'm just going to go with kind of a limping range, something like this at 17.5%. I assume he would raise 10s plus, ace jack, king queen suited, ace queen. I assume he'd raise these hands. I could be completely wrong. Kind of thing. A lot of people tend to limp some of these hands. They're hoping to flop big. Maybe they're afraid to raise. Who knows? Who knows why? I go to my blind ISO raising, and I think this is probably going to be what I use against the limper. It's only one. I'm just going to raise, see what he does. Even some of these weaker hands. I'm attacking a limper, and he is in early position. I assume he probably doesn't have a lot of these smaller cards, so if anything mid flops, there's a good chance that I might have hit it. He does have some of these, smaller pocket pairs. He does have some of these suited connectors, so I mean, both of us could hit it, but I do want some of those in my range as well, so that I could connect with the board. I'll have to be careful with some of these hands here. Like king 10, queen jack, it's a possibility that I might be dominated if I pick up a top pair hand, because we don't know if villain's just limping with everything or if it's more of like what I could call a classic limping range. So I'm going to assume he calls, because in Poker Tracker I selected for hands that went to showdown. So yeah, he calls. Now, is he going to call the same range? I think so. If he limped with this range, he's probably going to be calling with this range. There is a possibility that it constricts. So we drop out a lot of these, maybe a lot of these, maybe even the suited connectors. So it makes his range heavy on pocket pairs. That's a possibility. But again, this is the first hand. I'm playing an unknown. Flop comes jack, jack 5. Not a bad flop. Right now, I assume I'm ahead. It's going to be hard to have a jack. Two of them are on the board. Diamonds is a possibility. I do have a king of diamonds. So you can exclude like king, queen, king, jack diamonds. Ace, king of diamonds is out. King 10 of diamonds is out. So in essence, anything with king jack's out there. So you eliminate queen jack and jack 10 of diamonds, as well as like ace jack of diamonds. So in terms of our flush draws, you're looking at maybe ace queen if he limp called with that instead of raising. Queen 10. That's it. So queen 10 is one combo, and then you have like your 10-9, 9-8, 8-7 combo. So I think having a flush draw is extremely unlikely. Now the question is, what do we do? How do we play this? Do we go with a bet here? I think since the flush draw is pretty low, and it's against an unknown, I think kings could be a hand where we can check. We could check. And I say that because the question is, what hands could he call with? I mean, maybe he calls with these pocket pairs because he doesn't believe us. I think if we make it more likely that he calls, if we check and he gets checked back and then we bet the turn, I think he's going to say, no way do I have an overpair and probably don't have a jack, so I'll call. He could call with those. Same thing with like a 5, if he has 5, 4, 6, 5, or these lower pocket pairs. I think the same thing. I think if I bet here, he might just say, you know what, I'm done with the hand and fold. But if I check the flop and then it comes, turn and river come middle, he might pay 2 streets. I just don't see it. I think if we bet, we're going to lose some value because I don't think there's many hands that he could continue with. And I don't think he will continue with it. So, that being said, let's get our checking range. Overpair plus. I think those are our checking range. And then it's going to be, I know it's going to be a strong checking range. I think I'm betting these pocket pair less than the top card, middle pair. I think I'm probably betting ace high. And I'm probably betting most of these no-made hands. I guess the only ones maybe that I don't are these, because I have a possibility of picking up some sort of straight draw. But, you know, the other side of that is if I pick up straight draw, that's a pretty good barreling card. So I think with my check, I'm unbalanced. I know I'm gonna be unbalanced. And I'm not sure how to go about fixing it, but I definitely have a strong hand. When I check, when I bet, it's gonna be less strong. I still have some pairs, but it's gonna be less strong if I bet. I'm betting to try to pick things up. I'm probably more on the draw. And if a player reads me on this and starts responding accordingly, so starts raising my bets repeatedly, I'm going to have to change it up. I'm going to have to start putting in some bets with my overpair, with my three, probably putting bets with my three of a kind, and maybe a quads just to kind of mix it up. So I checked and now he bet. So if he did what I was hoping he would do, here's the bet for me. So at this point, he bet awfully large. I don't think that makes sense for a full house. I mean, if he has a full house, he's not afraid of that flush. It could make sense for three of a kind. I think it makes sense for these pairs. And probably for, I mean, it could be this no-made hand. He's just attacking. Yeah, we'll do that. Maybe he's good to. I mean, he had almost 200 big blinds. He could have gotten lucky, or he could be like an aggressive type player. You know, post flop, once someone shows weakness, they just bet big. So maybe this no-made hand. Maybe he's just firing and firing and firing. So versus that, we're calling with everything that we have. We're not going to be deterred. Yes, he could have three of a kind, but he could easily have all of the rest of this junk. So I called. Could we make an argument for check raising? I think if we check raise, we allow him to fold everything except the three of a kind. So I think calling here is probably appropriate. The three of hearts comes out, so that's actually a good card for a range, because again, I think I'm ahead, and I don't think the three changes that. So once we saw he bet big again, I think I'm checking with everything that I have here. I don't even think I'm going to be check raising anything. I think I'm planning to check call, because Villain showed he's betting big, and then he bet the pot again. This is just, I mean, why would you bet a pot that big? I have a sense I know who this person is, or I recognize the name, because there's not many people that do pot and pot on a board like this. So again, I don't think it's a full house. I'm starting to think probably not a quad. I mean, maybe why would you bet? I'm sorry, not a three of a kind, because why would you bet pot size? I know you're scared of the diamond, but Probably not. So I'm going to get rid of the draws too. So I think just these weak pairs with 3 of a kind. I can't believe he's doing this with no made hand. There's a possibility he does that. But I think a rational player isn't going to do that with no made hand. So we're going to get those out. Definitely I call again, 100%. I'm playing it. I think I'm ahead. I'm going to check call. I'm letting him do the betting. 5 of hearts. That doesn't change anything. And now we have an issue. I'm going to say an issue because board didn't really change. Is it a possibility that he has a 5? Yes. Question is, if I bet, will he call anything? Or if I check, will he bet? And I think here is probably where I'm going to be going, betting the quads and probably our jack high full house. I think I'm betting those and then checking the overpair. Why wouldn't I bet? Why wouldn't I bet the overpair? The question is, why would I bet the full house? Because what ranges? He's betting all of these. And I would imagine he checks the weak full house, checks that, and checks the nothing. But if he's betting as just complete bluffs, there's a possibility that he bets again because he puts us on the diamond. So for that, probably versus this player in this situation, I think we're checking. And then we're going to hope that he fires at it again, hoping to put us on a diamond draw. And then we take his stack. And he didn't, so I'm going to assume he was just bluffing. He didn't pull that 3rd trigger. All right, so he shows queen 3, which is really, really weak. No way. Not even in his range. This would be under that nothing hand, and actually it's worse than that, because when we go back to the turn, he's going to have all of those made hands. And then we've got the 5 of hearts that hits. He's got 50% is nothing. And that's the question. Would he fire again that last bullet? He didn't. So, I mean, we've got more information on him. 3-bet range, 4-bet range, queen 4. Wow. So, yeah, I guess all we can do is we're going to have to do this. Limp called 6 big blind in EP versus big blind with queen 3 spades. So bet pot, check on jack of diamonds, jack spades, 5 of diamonds, 3 hearts, 5 hearts. Get a note on him, so if we see him again, we know how he's playing. So I don't mind how I played this. I think I was playing it exploitatively. I was trying to play the player. Yeah, I was trying to play that player. And he bet pot, flop, pot turn. I think at that point, and I think I read it, it's hard to hit the jack. And I didn't believe him with the jack. And I think how I played it by checking it, I'm showing weakness. And I think it could conceivably have a diamond. I could have a diamond. Now he doesn't know that I would have bet those diamond draws pre-flop. I'm sorry, not pre-flop, on the flop. I would have c-bet with him. So I mean, for all he knows, I've got something fairly weak. I've got like ace king, ace queen. Maybe when I called the turn, he's thinking, okay, maybe I have a pair. Maybe I have a middle pair and I don't believe him. But I still think I'm giving him the opportunity to bet to win the pot again as a bluff. And I know if I bet, he's folding. And that's, I think if I bet, he's only calling with probably the full house. So on my hand, this overpair really, I would convert that. If I bet, I'm making that a bluff. And yeah, that bluff, can offset the full house that I would have. But I kind of feel like versus a player like this, that's pot again. They might just fire that third street, bet pot again, just to get me to fold. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.